You know, Wayne asked me to do this. I'm a guy that has always continued to be a guy that thinks outside the box. And what I mean by that is my message will be somewhat short to you, and then I'll ask you to ask questions of any nature that you want to ask. I've sat at the podium many a nights and many a days and had some good questions thrown my way, and some that's been good and some not been so good. So, but anyway, it's a privilege to be here. Number one, I think one of the finest churches. We have a lot of great churches in this town, but this was a special one in my heart. It's sort of the center, the center of what our town is about, and a lot of good men and women that go to this church, and it takes clout in this town with this church. So, but my message today becomes a message of faith, and what faith has done for me as a person, how I've run from faith several different times in my life, but it seems like every time I needed it, the good Lord was gracious enough to give that to me, or give me the opportunity to say, Rush, wake up, be faithful in what you're doing, know that everything's going to be okay. And I'll retract it back years ago. You know, I come from a home of a mom and a dad that was a Christian, come from a very good Christian home where church was part of going to the bathroom. It's just something you did every day. You know, and I grew up in the United Methodist Church right there at Ohatchee, Alabama. We had a congregation of about 85 people in a small church that stood right across from the high school there at Ohatchee, right on the Coosa River. And then there were 3 other local churches around that I had friends, obviously, growing up in that town, where we frequently did things with the RAs of the First Baptist or Oak Bowery Baptist Church, and it was just a great community to raise kids, similar to what we are in this town. It's just we weren't big as Moultrie. We were about the size of Doran or Norman Park. We were a small town. But as time went on, and I went off to college, and as we all do when we go to college, we steer down paths of roads that are not conducive to being what I call strong Christian faith. And it just, the humanistic side of you always gets involved. And I tell young people this all the time, the humanistic side will pull you, and it's your job that you think is so important, or something in your life that pulls you away from what you should be doing on a day in, day out basis. And that's getting up in the morning and reading a devotion and spending time with your Lord and Jesus Christ, your Savior, every day, and talking to Him. Because trust me, if you talk to Him, He'll talk back. He will flat let you know what He feels, and good or bad. And like I said, mine's not always been rosy, and I've had a lot of good people help me along the way. You know, I've been kicked for dead several times, but I've had good people to put their arm around me and say, Rush, you're better than this. We knew you when you were here, and they really, really helped Rush Propst be a better person. Jumping ahead a little bit, Colquitt County has been my latest place that I feel like has been a savior to me in the humanistic side of it. I mean, obviously we know who our Savior is. Jesus, but this town has been awfully good to me. It has rebounded a career. It has led me on a path that I feel very strong with my family. I enjoy living here. I enjoy staying here. Outside of going to coaching clinics and going and spending the time we spend, and went to Florida State for a couple of days, and I watched them practice, and rode up to Athens and spent 2 days and watched Georgia practice, and went over and watched Nick and them practice at Alabama for a couple of days. Hopped on the plane and flew out to Oregon and watched University of Oregon practice, and flew back in, watched Sanford get to practice, UAB in practice, and then back up to Jonesboro, Arkansas, and hit them, and then Ole Miss, and then back to town. So we've been burning candles both ends over the last few weeks, and that's something we've done. Now, I didn't do it last year because I was sick, but it's something that we're getting into that hopefully will win us a ball game or two, because you've got to keep up with your Joneses. I mean, football is not like football was 10 years ago. Football is not what football was 5 years ago. The technology of it has changed so much, and our kids, we spend an awful lot of time with them. We don't have a 20-hour rule in high school football. We can work our kids as long as we can work them now. And we've got some new rules coming down the pipe this summer. There'll be no more 2-a-days back to back. If you practice twice in one day, the very next day you can only go once. Georgia leads the nation in player death. And I spoke at a group of men just like you 2 weeks ago and tried to get our state to move football practice back into late or mid-August to try to have some sense. But we didn't do that because we're tied into this Corky Kell Classic, trying to get prime time, ESPN prime time, and so that's sort of where we're tied to. We put pads on August the 1st, and guys, there's no need now. We shouldn't put pads on in this state till August the 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th. People say, like, Russ, that's hot then. Yeah, it is hot then. But it's just not as hot as long. And Texas has got the best setup. They don't put pads on the 17th of August, and they play a week later than we do. I think we end up on the 15th as our championship game in December. We could very easily end up on the 22nd and be fine, and our attendance would be just as good on December 22nd in the Georgia Dome as it would be December the 15th. But it's hopefully that rule will change in the near future. But we're going through life several things that made me, I feel like, not a hardened person, but a person of stronger faith. Back in 1993, my first family, my first wife was in a severe car wreck that caused her to live in a Spain Wallace Rehab Center for 2 years, where she didn't know who she was or our children. It took her 2 or 3 years to know who our second child was. And then it was a tough time for us, and it just really was. And it was strong, and I really didn't do a really good job, to be quite honest with you. I just did. You fall at the time, and I was going away from the day in, day out devotion, the day in and day out walk with life, and walk with Christ, and I believe that I tried to conquer the world by myself. Like a lot of coaches, we feel like people probably do your business. You feel like you can do it yourself. You don't need help. Well, I found out right quick that wasn't the case. It cost me a lot during that time, and it was tough. And I've made a commitment this time that through my family that I have now with my young children, John David, who's 5. We had Catherine, who's 6, and Thomas, who's 7, will be 8. He'll turn 8 in a couple of months. You know, my commitment not only is to my older children. I have 3 older children. Jacob's 21. Brian is 19. Will turn 20 this August, and then he's moving down here with me in about a month, less than a month, in about 3 weeks. And then my daughter has been with me since the start of school. So, and then my stepdaughter's with us. So we have 7 children at the house. But we need a big house. We need a big house. But we have something going all the time, and relatively good kids. Both groups get along very well together. I think that my wife has done a great job of mixing that up, and you know, sometimes when you come from a mixed family like we've come from, it's been awfully difficult for all groups to get along and love one another, but they do. And I'm very pleased with that. I'm very pleased with the Lord allowing that group of brothers and sisters. There's 4 boys and there's 3 daughters, and they just seem to get along very well and pull for one another, and we have a good family time together. We don't have to go anywhere. That's a good thing. We enjoy cooking. My wife's one of the finest cooks around, and I have some daughters that are learning how to cook, and if my in-laws, they're in town, she can cook, so the only difference today is when I laid out the roast this morning, when I was coming to speak to you, I laid out 2 roasts. So one won't get it. So we go through the food. But faith has been strong. Faith has been, it's the key component to life. It is something that you have to stay strong in, and the only way I know to do that is I've got a couple of books that I've read through inside and out. When I was going through my cancer treatment, we'll get through in a minute, I went through the book, The Red Sea Rules. I'm sure a lot of you have read it. It's a very good, easy read. It is a book that I felt very attached to through my darkest of days. This time last year, I started the downward spiral of not being able to eat anything and not being able to keep anything down, and living through IVs and not being able to eat and losing weight and just having a good time. I feel like this book really, really helped me a lot. And I guess people ask me all the time, what was the lowest part of my sickness? Was, I want to say, probably from mid-May to mid-June. Was my last treatment was May 18th. But it seemed like for 2 weeks after that, it just got worse and worse. And I got down to 168 pounds. Started at 230. And I just couldn't eat, guys. Couldn't eat. And it wasn't Kevin Gibbons as an interim head coach, and the guys that I brought in that had been ex-head coaches like Sean Sutton and Travis Pearson and some of my guys on the outside, we had been in trouble. I mean, from a football perspective, I was able to just sort of come in the office and lay around for 4 or 5 hours and then go home and lay down for 18 hours at a time. And just did that all during the month of June and July. And then August I never missed a practice, but it was, I don't know how good I was at practice. Basically, I would watch what we do, and then I would jot notes. I had a tape recorder that I took in my back pocket, and it was digital. And I would just write down on either on my practice schedule what we needed to adjust that day, or I'd talk into that tape recorder, and then I would get with our coaches of need and say, we need to change this, do that, do this, do that. And I'd try to keep us balanced through the year. And as August got there, it was tough. September eased up a little bit. By October, I started feeling like my old self again. You know, I mean, I couldn't go full bore. I was about 60%. And then right around playoff time, I got to where I was, around 75%. I'm about 85, 90% right now. I'm not fully recovered. It'll be probably sometime this summer or early fall before I'm back to 100%. And but I'm a heck of a lot better than I was. And like I said, these two books, Red Sea Rules, and then believe it or not, some of you hunters out there, which I'm a big hunter, love to deer hunt more than anything, but I'll do it all with deer. My passion. I look at life from a deer stand, Devotion by Steve Chapman. It's been a book that, it's something I short read every day. Just started it really, and there's some good things in it. But I just believe that we all need that 10 minutes alone. Every one of us get up in the morning and we read the paper. Or we get on the computer and we read. Or we look. Or we engulf ourselves in the humanistic side of life. And to me, we got it right backwards. We need to be spending 10 minutes of the first, when you wake up, the first 10 minutes of your day needs to be spent in worship of the Lord. And I tell you, I'm telling you from experience, if you'll do that, you'll help yourself. You help yourself physically, you help yourself mentally, you'll help yourself in a lot of different ways that you just, all of a sudden, you wonder why, but it's the Lord. It's the Lord. It's the faith you have in Him that He's going to help deliver some things for you. And it just starts with that good. And that's that part of it. But guys, when cancer struck me last year, we've been through a lot. Moving here through the controversy we had at Hoover, the general population, and I've said this with the other churches I've been to, I think the general population thought that Rush Propst was basically this guy got his mission pregnant. And that just was not true. I love my wife. Today, we've been together now since 1993. There's some things that we would both take back that we would have done differently. But, it's just two people that care about one another, and we try to help one another as much as we can. Daddy and I have always been good friends, and I guess what I'm saying is I wasn't on the back of a motorbike riding down Arkansas. Trying to have a good time. A lot of folks knew the situation that I was going through at the time with Hoover, and then basically what happened was that we decided, or they decided, the administration all changed up there, and I lost protection from that perspective, and it was time for me to go. And this community has taken me. Leonard McCoy, obviously, I've got to give him a lot of credit. He under a little bit of controversy, he hung with me and he stuck with me, and I think the results have been outstanding. Outside the first year, we doubled in wins. I think they'd won 2 ball games the year before, and we won 4 the first year, and then after that we won 35 ball games in 3 years. So we're averaging over 10, actually over 11 a year. And we've lost to the state champions three straight years. And I think we all know last year we should have won it. We had some terrible calls that hurt us. We do know calls are part of the game, but that was just uncalled for. The thing that sort of hurt us in that ball game, and we felt like we were the best team in the state of Georgia last year. Now this year, obviously, we got our quarterback back, which is big. Coach Seagraves is going to be a year better. He's 6'4" and a half, 225. Works 3 hours a day, every day, like it's no tomorrow. And he's just going to be the guy that's just going to lead us. And then obviously our second quarterback will be Daniel Moultrie, which is a lot of people would like to have Daniel Moultrie as a start quarterback. So Daniel plays baseball, so each home he don't get the off-season work that Cole gets. Because football has become a year-round sport. And it just has. All sports have become year-round. And if you're not participating, we all grew up out there. You played football during football. You played basketball during basketball. You played baseball during baseball. That's not the way it is anymore. Valdosta, right down the road, basically started that years ago with Nick Hyder. I remember going over in 1983, and watching Valdosta being a weight room. Every athlete, didn't matter what you played, if you were a football player or a baseball player, it didn't matter. Everybody lifted together. And at 6:30 in the morning, they lifted, and after they got through lifting, then they all went into a breakfast hall, and they had a training table, and they sit down and they ate breakfast, a very good breakfast, and then they all got ready to go to class. Well, there was no specialization of sport. The problem we got right now in our town, Colbert County, that I urge you to try to help me with, is we've got kids to quit specializing in one sport. Now, I'm the football coach. I don't want my football players specializing in one sport. I don't want them just playing football. It's a mistake. It's a mistake. I want them playing basketball. I want them running track. I want them playing baseball. I want them playing soccer. I want them doing other things. But I know that that's true with our other sports. And so, you know, we got too many athletes out there right now that, and I think you know who I'm talking about, that are playing a particular sport that can help us. Now, they're not going to be what I call show dogs this first year, but next year, by the time they're seniors, it'll give Daniel Mobley several targets to throw to as a quarterback, and that would help our football team immensely. And that's three of them in particular. I mean, there's three that I know that are receivers that, to me, your high school experience should be your high school experience, and not worry about what your next level is. That next level may not come. Enjoy your high school career. Help the Coffee County Packer. Be a Packer. That's what I tell our football players all the time. Be a Packer. You can be a Georgia Bulldog. You can be a Florida State Seminole. You can be a Florida Gator. You can be a Georgia Tech Yellow Jacket. You can be an Auburn Tiger down the road. Georgia Southern or Valdosta State. But right now you're a Packer. And then that's what we got to do. And so that, if there is a negative, is we've got a little bit of that going on right now with our youth, and it's predominantly some of our white athletes, and somebody's in their ear telling them, okay, if you concentrate on this particular sport, that's what you're going to be very good at. Yeah, you will. You will. But I've yet to see one signed in Florida State. Yet to see one signed in Georgia. Yet to see one signed in the SEC or ACC. Pitt's boy is the closest one I've seen. You know, he signed at Georgia Tech. That's the only one. Should he have played football? Absolutely. Mark Rigg told me point blank in my face, that kid had the ability to be a Division I quarterback, and could have been a dang good one. And so, point taken there is that's what we got to eliminate. And to me, I of our baseball kids in Birmingham played both sports. We had 2 or 3 that played baseball that didn't play football, but they couldn't play football. They were little wiry, small kids. They couldn't play. Not only were they wiry and small, they couldn't run. So that's the only negative vibe right now that I think's going on in our athletic department. The rest of it is good. We're the strongest we've been, and I know I'm getting into football talk, but I know you want to hear some of that. We're probably the strongest we've been since I've been here. We've got kids. Sean Sutton, my strength coach, and I brought with me phenomenal, as good as Carlos Moffett from LSU, and Johnny Cochran from Alabama, and got with Mississippi State. They're all 3. They stay in contact with each other all the time. And I really think our strength and conditioning. I'll say this: when Bryce Hiddens was offered, Kevin can tell you this, when he was offered and signed at Arkansas State, his offensive line, J.B. Grimes, who's been around the block for 35 plus years, called me and he said, "Rush, you didn't get this from me. We're going to send you a book, a workout book for what he's supposed to do at Arkansas State. Don't do it." So you didn't hear me tell you that. Don't do it. Do what y'all do. He said it's a lot better than what we do. And so it's I come with a high compliment on what our kids are getting. We're going to be for the first time strong enough to line up with Lowndes and Valdosta and Golf and Tip and be strong, if not stronger than that. But I've never been able to say that. But this year we will be. So that's impressive. You know, and seems to be probably us and Camden, you know, in the South with Lowndes and Valdosta hanging on their toe tips, and then Tip with a new regime will be new energy. Colby, Pruitt will do a great job. New energy, good football coach, runs got good athletes. We don't have an easy ball game. Then we threw in Lovejoy, who's got their best team ever back. There'll be a 6A program out of Georgia, and then Carver, which will be strong as anybody in their 3A classification, and then Thomas County Central, which is a big rival game, you know, not a big one for them. And then we got the Corey Kill Classic up there in Atlanta. There'll be statewide TV, and we'll play North with them in that game. And then we have an exhibition game here against North Cross, and North Cross is going to be pretty good. They'll have a good football team coming in here on August 17th. So I like our schedule. I like our future schedule down the road. And there's a two-game deal with Hoover. A lot of people ask me questions, why Hoover? Well, first and foremost, they're a top 10 nationally ranked team. And, you know, I'm from there, know the lay of the land. It's TV's dictated it. ESPN will pick it up the first year. It'll be an ESPN live deal on that Saturday, September 1, or either Saturday prior to that, before college football. We're going to compete for that, so there's some money dollars for that for us also. And then the following year, we'll play them on a Friday night here at our place. They'll come here and it'll be an ESPN too. So, you know, that's a great series, but that's not all we're going to play. Now, we'll play the Corey Kill again next year. We'll not play Thomasville next year, but we'll play a Grayson or a Walton or somebody in Corey Kill, then Hoover, and then there'll be another probably big-time program coming in. And all that does, guys, Bainbridge is not going to play. Cairo is not going to play. We barely get Thomas County Central to play. Thomasville will not play. Them days are over with. They're just not going to do it. They don't play you when they think they beat you. You know, you know, but going back in my life, the good Lord has been extremely good to me. He has. I mean, you just take, here's a guy who went through a physical, severe car wreck that nearly wiped out his whole family, then changed everything in my life for 3 years, and then from there had a tremendous job at Hoover and lost that job over tough circumstances that I created. I created a lot of those mistakes. Now, the things that bother me in the report that are not true, there was no academic fraud. That's not true. That we were exonerated in that, and a lot of things in that investigation were not true. And that you read it, it'll tell you that, you know. But y'all know as well as I do, when they put the word alleged, you know, it always makes you seem guilty. Well, we did nothing on the inside wall of Moultrie High School that were wrong, you know. So, but I'm very appreciative of Leonard for giving me the opportunity in this Board of Education, and getting back and doing what I do best, and that's coaching young men, and because I'm going to get them scholarships. I'm going to make sure they get out of Moultrie and go get an education. That's me. That's the thing that some high school coaches, I don't think they think it's their responsibility. And it is your responsibility. It's as much a big of your responsibility as to get your kids scholarships as it is you win football games. I've always believed that. And for any coach to sit back and say, well, that's not my job. That's the colleges that do that. You know, my job is to win ball games. Colleges will find them. And not anymore. Not anymore. You got to promote your kid. You got to do some things. You got to get him. You got to spend money. You got to travel him. You got to make sure he's in the right camps. The key to it is you have to adjust. You have to look at that college coach when he comes in the spring the second time, because he has 2 evaluations. If he don't come back after the first time, chances are he wasn't that interested. But if he comes back that second time, then you've got to do your job to look him dead in the eye and say, okay, is this an offer or is this a camp? 9 times out of 10, he'll say, we got to get you to camp. You know, very few of the ones that you know, don't have to go to camp. So we have to financially get pool money. You know, guys, that's $8,000 or $9,000 a year for us to get a coach, gas up the van, gas up the vehicle, and take that kid. I just took one in Jonesboro, Arkansas. I mean, I was 10.5 hours up there and 10.5 hours back of driving. And so we got back here last Saturday morning.